Hello, how are you all doing? Corinne Clapham here, your mystic intuitive healer and coach. So, today we're going to talk about the full moon eclipse energy update. So, today we have a couple different things that are going on. One, it is a full moon in Scorpio. Two, it is a lunar eclipse. Three, this one is the theme of the flower moon, which is so appropriate as it is spring. And we also have Mercury in retrograde. So let's take this into bite-size tidbits here. So full moon is when the moon is in its full illumination. And when it's big like that, it illuminates more light. And so it casts more light on our shadow aspects. So quite often leading up to the full moon and on the full moon, it will show us our shadow aspects that are ready to be healed. So if you're finding yourself getting triggered, know that it's not happening to you, but happening for you. This is an opportunity for you to see things within yourself that maybe you didn't see before, or you're gaining more clarity in the things that are triggering you. And when we're triggered, it's because it is something that is still needing to be healed. So it's not a bad thing, right? We're unraveling the layers of the onion, so to say. And with the lunar eclipse, it's just an added oomph of energy that can help support us. So the flower moon, every moon we have a title. We have it titled from the almanac farmers and also the indigenous. If you think back, way back in the times before we even had calendars, they would come up with themes that were very appropriate to the timing of the year, of the seasons. And so with the energy of the Scorpio, there's some characteristics and qualities that we may see. And every zodiac sign has its shadow aspects and it has its light aspects, if we want to talk in terminology to make it simple to understand. And so I do like to say that because when I speak about the shadow aspects, I never want a zodiac sign to feel like it's just them that have these certain traits or qualities that need working on, because we all do, right? And once we have the awareness of it, then we can work on it. So with Scorpio, some positive attributes is they are very in tune. They're also water signs, so the emotions, they're more on the, I'm going to say the emotional side, but I don't mean it in a way that some people may interpret it. Like, it doesn't mean that they're always emotional. It just means they're more in tune with the emotions. They're more intuitive. Um, the shadow aspects that I think are important for all of us to know, because we may all embody them at some point in time, some people just more than others, is sometimes they can feel, what's the right word here? Sometimes paranoid. And so we really want to be discerning when we are paranoid about a situation. Is it within our ego and our mind, or is it something very tangible that is going on, right? Because if we're acting and behaving just based on certain things that are coming from the mind and the ego or illusions, then we sometimes humans can react and coming from that energy and space, and that's what actually can create a little bit of disharmony. Whereas if we can really check in with ourselves and be like, okay, is this an insecurity? Um, is this really what's going on, or is this a story in my head that's being made up? And really come from asking ourselves these questions can help us to sift through accordingly through things. And the other thing is, Scorpios are quite good actually at gathering information and researching. But again, we want to come from good intentions, right? And it's interesting because I was reading this article this morning and it had mentioned that it's interesting. They said Geminis and they said Scorpios, and they said, and I'm a Gemini, my sister's a Scorpio, but they were saying Geminis like to gather information because they like to know things. And I can attest to that. I'm a very curious person. I love understanding things. And it was saying that, but it was also saying Scorpios like to gather information too, but they like to do it because they have the intention of using that information, um, sometimes against people, right? So this is an example of how we can have different intentions with things. Like both energies are seeking out information, but they're completely two different intentions and energy. So again, we want to be discerning about that. Because if a lot of people feel, or certain people feel paranoid about things, then they're going to see things, situations, and other people and other intentions differently, and may not be as accurate, right? And so we just want to watch that if we're finding that within ourselves or we're finding that within other people. This is also a time that a lot of releasing's coming up. Secrets are coming in within us and also the collective. That's been a big theme the past couple of years. A lot of things have been brought to the light, especially things that haven't been a strong foundation. And again, they're coming to the surface, coming to the light so we can see it, have the awareness, and then shift and change that. Now, with the flower moon, this is we're coming into spring, and I wish I remember this gentleman's name. He had a really great video. I'm gonna have to try and find it so I can attach it somewhere, but it's really fascinating. He took a clock, and if you take 12 plus 1, it's 13, and he did all the numbers this way, and it always added up to 13. And he feels that there's actually 13 months in a year. And excuse me, he also feels that the beginning of our year, like what we're used to or what we were told was, December 31st or New Year's January 1st. But in these terms, from this gentleman and other calendar systems, it's actually in spring. And to me, that makes so much sense because if you think about it, spring is the new beginning, it's rebirth, and everything in life is cycles. We always have death, rebirth, right? There's no rebirth unless there's death, and vice versa. And so, this is really a time that we are coming out of our hibernation from winter and we're coming into new beginnings. We've really done a lot of inward work over the last season, the winter season, and now we're coming out. We've done the inner work, and now we're coming out into the world. And of course, this is something we're always working on, but it's more prevalent. And I know the past couple of weeks, it was very intense for a lot of people, including myself. A lot of things were coming up big time. We also had the solar eclipse too. So I think that was really nudging a lot of people to release what no longer was serving them before we're shifting into the next theme. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when that's happening, I'm just turning my phone over because I keep seeing all these notifications coming up, notifications. So I just want to release the distractions there. And I can see that a message for some of the people that are on here, releasing the distractions. But know that when we're in those phases where it can feel very chaotic, when everything is already always temporary and we're always in phases, we're always in cycles, we're always in seasons, right? And if you look at the female, we're on cycles every month. It's not even just a year. We go through those 4 seasons within a month every month. And so it's okay if your energy shifts. It's okay if your mood shifts. We just want to do what we can to best support ourselves through these times and implement certain things so it'll be a smoother ride. And we're coming from more clear space rather than a very cluttered mind, a cluttered ego, right? A very pained or what's the word? Wounded ego, right? Again, if we're coming from that energy, our perspective on the outside world is going to be very different than what may actually be. So it's really checking in and reeling in with that. But if you think about even this eclipse, this lunar eclipse, there's a certain phase where the moon is aligned with the earth and the sun, but there's this specific moment where the moon is actually right in the darkest shadow of the earth, in the umbra, and then it comes out the other end. And it's the same thing for us when we're going through what we feel are dark times. We end up coming out through the other side, always, right? Everything is always moving, even emotions. Emotions are in motion. And so you can think about a bud, all the buds on the trees and on the plants, they start internally and then they they grow, right? And they blossom into these beautiful flowers that we see. And you can take a look at it, even the cherry blossoms. They started off as a small bud and then they grew. And so when you're going through these times where you're doing the inner work and you're laying down stronger foundations, it can feel awkward, it can feel uncomfortable because it's the unknown, but it's very necessary. It's necessary in order to shed what no longer serves us, to bring in things that are more supportive, and to build that stronger foundation. And of course, this is all done internally. Quite often, we have been brought up to believe it's in the external world, to have external things to make us feel good, but it's the internal where we actually want to be doing the work. And that's why we have periods of times where we are more introverted, we're more within ourselves, we're in that cocoon phase. So, a couple of things just to recap this to think about is just take a look at when we're running stories that may not be accurate in our head. What are the illusions? What are the secrets? What have we been hanging on to that's just been dragging and dragging that we're ready to release? And one of the biggest key I'll tell you is forgiveness. And that doesn't mean what the other person did is okay and they can do it again, but it is allowing yourself to set yourself free from that. And it also sets the other person free from that. Because at the end of the day, we're all learning, we're all growing. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we don't. So as long as we keep the evolution moving in a forward momentum, we're going in the right direction. So the best thing we can do is to be inquisitive and asking ourselves these questions. Everything starts with awareness, always, right? And then that's our benchmark, our lift off for the the catapult of change, and hopefully a good change, but it's up to each individual, right? We always have free will, we always have power of choice. And so just know that if it's been like this, we always go back up. And I know the energies have lifted for a lot of people. A lot of people who were going through the harder times a couple of weeks ago, the energies have lifted. And it's been a really beautiful momentum, a lot of new beginnings. A lot of people are shifting out of old jobs or old positions or old homes, whatever the situation is, and shifting into new energies and trying new things. And a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, are rejigging things within our business. And sure, it's unknown, but and sure, everything's not going to be put in place right away. It's almost like dabbling and trying this and that and seeing what works and what doesn't. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to experiment. That is fun. That is part of the human experience and evolution. So thank you for joining me. Much love, everybody. And I normally do moon ceremonies. This time I'm not. However, I do have an offering to help people shift through emotions. And the first three spots are offered at a certain tier price, and then the next three a different tier price, and then I'll go back to its regular price. But if you are interested, you can always DM me, send me a personal message. Or write in the comments below that you'd like more information on it, and I can reach out to you. But nonetheless, we are so lucky we have so many ancient tools and modalities and new tools and modalities to assist and support us through our ascension and through our growth. And with that, I'm wishing you all an amazing, beautiful full moon. Today, where I'm at Collingwood, Ontario, Canada, it is pouring with rain. And when it rains, I really see it as a time of it cleansing and washing, and again, nurturing what we need in order to grow. So much love, Corinne Clapham, your mystic, intuitive healer and coach.